Okay, it is December the 10th, Sunday evening, about 30 minutes after the weekly open. I've been sort of AFK as of recent just because I went on a bit of a vacation and then came back and ended up getting sick when I was traveling back. So everything's been a little bit disoriented, but I've been spending some time today getting reorganized and getting focused up. I did trade a good amount last week, and I just didn't have my voice. So now that my voice is back, I intend to get some content coming. So without further ado, let's do the market outlook and plans for the week ahead. So first things first, let's get into the news events. So this is a little bit off in the future, about a month out, but it's really important that we all keep this front and center in our mind. The idea that at the very beginning of January should be the final deadline for the ETF for Bitcoin. So I think that most likely what will happen is that we'll get the first approval and that the others will probably follow suit. So that is a month out from now still, but really important to keep that at the forefront of your minds, just because that's the prevailing narrative at the moment. Let's get into some boomer stuff. So really quickly on the boomers, on Tuesday we have the CPI, which is going to have some relative significance, and then on Wednesday we have the FOMC. Wednesday also has PPI, but let's be honest, PPI doesn't really matter. Definitely care about CPI, and then most importantly, the FOMC. So that's pretty much it for boomer stuff. So yeah, Wednesday and Tuesday are definitely gonna have some juice for us potentially. But let's go ahead and get into some Bitcoin talk. Then we'll cover positioning and altcoin plays, etc. So let's get into the macro Bitcoin outlook. Essentially where we're at is we're just kind of patiently waiting for the hard time frame plans to play out. So we've been bullish all year long. The only kind of time when I got bearish at all was around this 28K region. I did ponder the idea of the lower high, but quickly invalidated, pivoted to bullish it, or pivoted back to being fully long at 29K, and we've had some crazy momentum off the back of that. Been super fortunate how things have played out. As it stands, 38K was our end-all be-all resistance, and we got that kind of, like we had talked about in the previous outlooks, that kind of classic triangle pattern that was showing us that bid support as we traded up along, and eventually enough taps into 38K and we smacked through it and yeeted up into the next major resistance. So now that 38K has been broken through, which is this May, or is that from January till May of 2022 composite low structuring right here. So now that that's been smashed through, we expect that to be very strong support. Next major level to talk about is 44K. You could probably round it up to 45K, 44 and a half, maybe split the difference. That is the composite high for this structuring, which conveniently overlaps with the 2021 yearly VWAP. So 44 and a half is very strong resistance. So we basically expect that 38K and 45K should be the determinants for the next kind of bracket moving forward. Realistically, I don't think that 38K is going to be interacted with all that much. This kind of impulse region should probably be holding as support. We'll make some arguments for that. We go into the lower time frame stuff where we can make the presentation a little bit more clear for that. But if we do trade down towards 38K, definitely expect it to be really strong resistance. And then kind of invalidation for the entire bull thesis right now is 31K. If we lose 31K, then bulls are cooked. But I don't even think that we should see any reason anytime soon to be even thinking about these kind of regions. I don't even think that we'll get down towards 38K. So TLDR on everything is that just patiently waiting for the plans to continue to play out. There's no reason to invalidate or change anything up until proven as such. Momentum still very much to the upside, so I definitely don't think that the trend high is in by any means. How this trend does die off is most likely in the form of building some sort of range and seeing some sort of kind of clear rejection, reacceptance into that, and that's something that could take us lower. But as it stands, if we continue to see these kind of triangle-y patterns and just continued charging forward from bulls, it just doesn't make sense to be bearish at all. It's definitely important, in my opinion, to be aware of the fact that we probably get a pullback here in December, but I'm not going to be trying to be net short by any means. The only thing I'm going to be doing is trying to be hedged out and just be delta neutral. So yeah, that's pretty much it for Bitcoin on the higher time frame TLDRs. We expect 38K to hold more than likely than anything. These kind of singles will end up holding. Immediate resistance around where we're trading at now. So I think that we should be able to trade into these regions, but we'll probably get smacked down a couple of times. And then if we are able to trade over 46 and trying to reaccept and see something like we saw in the 38K region, if we see that again, then that means that we're going to basically be trading up all the way towards the, you know, mid 50K region. So yeah, that's pretty much it. For more information, check out the Paragon group with the link below, where I cover everything from how I trade to how you can develop your own style. Next thing is let's get into Bitcoin medium time frame. So as far as Bitcoin medium time frame goes, pretty straightforward. I just basically think that any sort of kind of shallow dips into these kind of regions should be bought up, right? So I'm not, I don't have a crystal ball, right? I don't know if the dip's going to be to 43K or maybe into the 42s, maybe even as low as 41s. But, you know, either a dip here, dip here, dip here, any of these kind of areas, if I see an open interest wipe, would be punt worthy for me. And as it stands, it kind of looks like we're going to do something similar to what we saw over here with the 38K, right? We had that nice triangle pattern where we just chopped up into it and kept making higher lows. It does look like we might be setting up to do a very similar thing, right? So you see that kind of triangle pattern forming where we consistently reject off of the, you know, 44.5 kind of region and then just keep making higher lows before eventually kind of breaking out. That is the vibe right now. But you know, it's not like, again, I don't have a crystal ball, I don't really know, but that's what my feelings are when I look at this right now. Just gonna run through some shit coins here and yeah, basically share what I think is looking good. So I have a couple of different lists right now. Basically everything's a scam right now, so we're gonna run through some scams. So these are basically what I'm considering to be the good scams. So something like TIA, definitely looking like it's looking real good for continuation. Same story with FET. FET looks really good for continuation. This, whatever this fucking Say coin, I don't even know. This one looks good for continuation. BMX looking good. Meme looking good. And EDU looking good. So, moral of the story is basically all these good scam coins, they look really good for continuation. Most of them don't have very much price history. That's why they go into the scam category. They're newer perps for sure, but they all look good for continuation. A couple others to cover. Again, these are the big scams. I traded these three a lot last week. So first off, we have Ordi, or Ordinals. I don't even know what this thing is, but I traded this a lot last week. This was putting in some big ticks. So I do anticipate trading this again this week. Similar thing with Big Time. Big Time has been absolutely ripping and putting in a lot of trade activity. And then the last one is Bonk. So I really like, basically all these good scams are really good for continuation, excuse me. I really like the big scams. And we have some classic scams like BLZ, I think looks pretty good. Most of the other ones look pretty shit, to be honest. Maybe this Pyth coin might be looking good, but really out of the OG scammers, I think BLZ is really the only one that looks good. Most of the other ones look pretty rough. Actually, YGG doesn't look terrible, but I think there's probably better coins out there. From the GigaStrong list, we have Avalanche. Avalanche has been an absolute fucking monster recently, so definitely pretty clear indication that Solana strength is fading and transitioning over to AVAX, which is one of the reasons why I'm probably going to scale down on my Solana position with the intention of buying it back, but I want to take some risk off the table with Sol for sure, because, I mean, Sol, you know, I was buying Sol in the $10, $12 region. I think it's where most of my buys were. I don't actually remember for sure, but certainly the fact that we're trading over $70, I think it's probably time to shed some risk. But Avalanche looks good. As far as GigaStrong, Avalanche looks good. INJ looking like a monster still. Solana still looks pretty good overall. So I'm not calling top on it. Link still looks really good. So all these kind of classic strong coins that have been strong for the past several weeks are still looking really good. WorldCoin looking really good. Render looking good. I think Rune looks good, but I've completely missed Rune, so I'm just gonna probably continue to miss it. That's pretty much it. The only other one that I wanted to talk about was Front. So I have a couple of perp trades open right now. Front is one of them. I shared this one with you guys a couple times in the group already. I'll be very careful trading this one because it is super illiquid. I definitely had to TWAP in myself to get a position. But yeah, I'm just going to be nice and patient on this one. I'm just honestly operating off my gut. I know there's a couple of narratives behind this Front coin potentially, but I think that the narratives would only really hold true if price started moving. So Definitely feels like a coin flip trade as of now, but if this starts to get momentum and get above the anchored VWAP, then I think, could definitely see a easy 100, 200% move out of this one. So yeah, just going to patiently wait for this one to hopefully work out, and we'll have to wait and see. I think it should be a pretty decent week. It'll probably be the last big week of the year, I would imagine, because after this this week here that we're in right now, and we're going to be getting pretty close to the holidays, and I think things will probably slow down the last 2 weeks of the year. And then, super important point to make too, as we get into January, get focused up. I mean, I have very similar vibes to, December 2022 going into January 2023. I was talking a lot in the group about how you want to be focused up. You want to be ready to go. Very similar vibes right now as you transition into 2024. So good luck out there, everybody, this week. And yeah, I'll see you out there. Cheers.